Morency Unfiltered on the Fantasy Sports Network continues. I am Gabriel Morency. Just because there's a bye week in the AFL doesn't mean there's a bye week for Myk Aussie. As Myk Aussie steps up and in, the final 8 have been set. The playoffs set to begin in the AFL, and it's amazing. Their playoffs begin just as the National Football League regular season will kick off. Myk Aussie steps up and in. Myk, it's always a pleasure. How you doing?
Yeah, mate, loving this time of year, and you're right, a week off, but yeah, 4 games next weekend in AFL, and I tell you what, I'm loving this NFL Fantasy. Had a great time on your draft there on Tuesday night, a lot of fun.
You know what, Myk, you did a pretty good job, I think, when I look at your football team, actually, when it was all said and done. Myk's quarterback is Andrew Luck. One of his running backs, Adrian Peterson. The other running back, Matt Jones of the Washington Redskins. Wide receiver, Julian Edelman, Demaryius Thomas, Julius Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, Janikowski, and the Patriots defense. I like your team, Myk, but your Denver Bronco Dome is showing a little bit here in the sense that you got Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders on your football team. And that's a little risky. Because normally you want guys on different teams, but I got to be honest with you. I did the same damn thing last night without realizing it. I took Jeremy Maclin. I was like, oh, what a steal. I got Macklin's good. And then I took Travis Kelce. And I didn't clue into I'm like, oh, man, they're on the same team. They're both so good, though, right? It's just like, I got Watkins and McCoy that are on the same team, too, in another league. You know, you can argue it, whatever. When it's all said and done, people put up on numbers. But I think your team's pretty good, Myk.
Yeah, mate, I think after the draft, I said that to myself. Oh, possible downfall with the Broncos quarterback situation we're not sure of. But I didn't reach for either of those players. Demaryius Thomas was ranked like, number 20 wide receiver. Well, we would have been higher if Peyton Manning was still playing. So he obviously dropped because of that. And then my next draft, Emmanuel Sanders was like there, and I just had to take him because I think he is fantastic. But I kind of like my 2 backups in Smith and Garcon. So I think I'll be okay, mate.
You know what, though? Feinberg was saying earlier that if it's a smaller cash league, because, fantasy football is supposed to be fun, too, at some point, right? We take the fun out of it because it's for cash, but the whole point is, at times, you want to be pulling for certain players, Myk, you know?
Well, absolutely, mate. And there's no way I was going to draft any Steelers. I took Sanders, even though he's an ex-Steeler. Love him at the Broncos. But I'd be very interested in, I'd be interested in doing a possible quarterback trade with you if you're interested, because I was very impressed with your picks of Carr at the Raiders. And then you picked your mate Tom Brady. I was kind of surprised at that, seeing you definitely don't like the Patriots, but good pick there, Gabe.
Why would I want to give up my quarterbacks?
Well, I've got Luck and Matt Ryan, so I'm very happy with my quarterbacks, so I like yours too.
You got Luck and Ryan. All right, well, I'll consider, I don't know, I would consider a Derek Carr for Luck trade if you want, but I got a guy I drafted last night or 2 nights ago. I got a guy last night. I took David Johnson. I took David Johnson and Doug Baldwin, and the guy offers me Lamar Miller and like some other scrub. Well, I'm like, why would I do this? People, I don't know. You're gonna come up with some better trades. Now I'm actually panicking. I want Macklin and Buddy split up, and even in the fantasy cup draft, I shouldn't have drank so many Coronas. I got to split up McCoy and Watkins too. I'm in a lot of trouble, but my cash league teams are looking good. But yeah, so your Broncos in less than 1 week, Thursday night, Myk.
Yeah, well, just be careful, mate. I know you want to get some of that money back, but that Simenon, I was quite impressed with him in the first half last week when they finally let him throw the ball. Like the first 12 plays were runs. I'm thinking, why are you running the ball every play when you want to see what this quarterback is like? But I think we'll be okay. But yeah, a little bit worried about having 2 Broncos receivers with our quarterback. Not sure of, you know.
Don't worry, you can trade, Myk. People will trade. I'll help you out with that too. We'll look at some other rosters. Like even me, I'm serious in my other league. I got to bust this up. Like I don't know. My whole thing is though, I like Watkins better than Brandon Cooks. So I didn't want to not take Watkins because he happens to be on my favorite team. It's, you know what I mean? Like, oh, it's not like, oh, you're an idiot. You took Sammy Watkins. No, I'm a Bills fan, and I took Watkins. Shoot me, man. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I think Watkins is better than Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks could have put up big numbers. I think Watkins is better than T.Y. Hilton in fantasy. So we'll see. Let's judge at the end of the year, jackasses. I'm getting all worked up here. All right, AFL, so it's amazing, man. This starts next week, just when the NFL does. West Coast Eagles, minus 27.5-point favorites. Now, you don't really have to give picks right now, Mick. We'll break these games down next week, but we'll just sort of quickly let people know the situation. So it's West Coast and Western. Home game for West Coast, minus 27.5. Jennifer in Winnipeg, how you doing? Shout out to Jen Geelong Cats, minus 8.5 against the Hawks. Hawks, of course, gunning for another championship. Sydney, minus 15.5 against Great Western Sydney. And we've got your Adelaide Crows, minus 31.5 against the Roos, who, man, the Roos really had a rough second half of the season, Mick.
Yeah, mate, I like any of the 6 teams to go all the way. I think the Eagles will definitely beat the Bulldogs. They've got injury problems, and it's over there in Perth. I think the Crows will beat the Roos. So that leaves 6 of those 6 teams left, and I tell you what, any one of those 6 could win the grand final. So it's going to be really exciting. Home field advantage will play into it a little bit. But big news is the AFL can be a little bit like the NFL with money. So the Sydney Swans got screwed a little bit. They should have had a home game at the SCG. Because it's 2 Sydney teams, they're playing at the ANZ Stadium, the Olympic Stadium, where the college football game was, to get more people. So the Swans got screwed a little bit, mate.
And the Swans are actually favored to win, as we'll share give people the future odds before we wrap things up here with Mick. If you want to get in right now. Sydney Swans, they're favored, plus 200 to win the grand final. The Cats are plus 275 to win the grand final. Hawthorn Hawks, plus 450 to repeat. What would it be? They're gunning for what? They're 4 straight, Mick?
Yeah, mate, 4 straight. Pretty amazing. But they've been down on form a little bit, so finals experience does count for sure. But no, I'm not liking the Hawks at this stage, but we'll see more after next weekend.
They're plus 450. Great Western Sydney's plus 650. Your Crows, somewhat of a long shot at 11-1, plus 1,100. Same with my West Coast Eagles, 11-1. Western Bulldogs, 50-1. And the Roos, well, the Roos don't have much of a shot according to the odds makers. North Melbourne's 100-1 to win the grand final.
Yeah, well, Crows have been down a bit, but they play quite well in Melbourne. But yeah, I'm liking the 2 Sydney teams, the Cats, Crows, Eagles. Like I said, any of those 6 teams could win it, so it's going to be really, really exciting.
Myk Aussie with us, right, Mick? We got to get out of here. Thanks a lot for taking the time to be with us.
All right, and I'm down in Calgary for the CFL on Monday, so it should be a great time. See you later, mate. Thanks.
Myk Aussie with us. We'll come back and wrap things up with some picks.